He wasn't loud. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was trying to understand. While others chased attention, he chased precision. While others chased growth, he chased clarity. Patrick Collison built early, too early. Startups failed, ideas collapsed, momentum disappeared. And when things failed, it didn't feel like business. It felt personal. Because when you live inside your mind, failure doesn't stay on the outside. It follows you home. It sits in your chest. It becomes silence. Pressure built quietly, not from competitors, but from expectation. The expectation that he was supposed to be exceptional, that he was supposed to win, that he was supposed to justify all the attention people gave him when he was young. And when you're labeled gifted early, losing doesn't feel like losing. It feels like being exposed. He became isolated, not because he hated people, but because his thoughts moved deeper than conversation could follow. He wasn't depressed because he lacked purpose. He was depressed because purpose didn't guarantee results. And then he found the problem most people ignored. Not a glamorous problem, not a trendy problem, a problem hidden in the infrastructure of the internet itself, payments. And once he saw it, he couldn't unsee it. This is not a story about confidence. It's a story about obsession, quiet enough to look like nothing until it becomes inevitable. This is the story of Patrick Collison. He grew up ahead of people, not socially, mentally. School moved too slowly. Conversations felt shallow. Most problems people complained about felt irrelevant. He built things young, code, systems, prototypes, as if creating was the only way to stay calm. People called it talent. They called him gifted, but gifted is a dangerous word because it creates a silent contract. You will become something extraordinary. You will justify the attention. You will never waste your potential. And when you grow up under that contract, failure isn't an experience, it's a threat. His early projects didn't always work. Some startups collapsed, some ideas didn't scale, some products didn't find users. From the outside, it looked normal. From the inside, it felt like proof that maybe the world was right to expect more. Pressure doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. What if you're not special? What if you peaked too early? What if you're only impressive when the expectations are low? That whisper becomes isolation. Because when you're surrounded by people who assume you're fine, you stop explaining. You stop asking for help. You start carrying everything alone. And loneliness doesn't come from being unwanted. It comes from being misunderstood. So he went deeper into work, deeper into thought, deeper into problems that most people didn't have patience to notice. Because deep problems don't reward charisma. They reward obsession. The problem wasn't glamorous. It wasn't a social network. It wasn't a new phone. It wasn't something people bragged about building. It was payments, a mess hidden under the surface of the internet. Every time a company tried to charge a customer, they hit the same wall. Banks, approvals, fraud checks, broken APIs, endless paperwork, slow integrations. Building a product was easy compared to getting paid. Most founders accepted it as unavoidable. Patrick didn't, because he didn't see payments as a feature. He saw it as infrastructure, and infrastructure shapes everything above it. If payments were slow, companies stayed small. If payments were complex, only the rich could build. If payments were broken, innovation died quietly. So he started building the thing nobody wanted to build. A simple interface, clean documentation, a few lines of code that replaced weeks of pain. Stripe didn't begin with hype. It began with engineers sending each other links. This is what payments should feel like. It spread the way real tools spread, through relief, not through marketing, through gratitude. The deeper he went, the more he understood why no one fixed it. Because the problem was boring, and boring problems require patience most people don't have. Stripe wasn't built to impress the world. It was built to remove friction from the world's invisible machinery. And when you fix invisible machinery, you don't just help businesses, you change what becomes possible. Stripe didn't grow like a trend. It grew like infrastructure always grows, quietly, inevitably, one dependency at a time. Startups used it first, then bigger companies, then companies so large they stopped being called startups at all. The more businesses relied on Stripe, the heavier the responsibility became. Because when you build infrastructure, your failures don't look like bugs. They look like broken economies. Pressure rose, not from competition, but from scale. Every new country meant regulation. Every new customer meant fraud. Every improvement meant new risks. And Patrick felt it. He wasn't the type to celebrate growth. He was the type to ask what growth would break. The deeper his thinking became, the lonelier it got. Because most people want answers quickly. They want optimism. They want certainty. But deep thinkers don't live in certainty. They live in edge cases, in risk, in what could go wrong. The public saw Stripe as clean and simple, but simplicity is expensive. It costs sleepless nights. It costs paranoia. It costs founders who carry problems that nobody else can see. Patrick didn't talk about it much. He kept the company calm on the outside while the complexity grew underneath. That is what depth looks like. Not intelligence on display, but the ability to hold chaos without letting anyone notice. Stripe kept expanding, and the more it expanded, the more his life became a quiet form of isolation. Not because he had no one around him, but because the weight he carried couldn't be shared. Stripe didn't become powerful because it was loud. It became powerful because it was unavoidable. The companies building the future needed a way to move money as easily as they moved data. Patrick Collison didn't build Stripe by chasing attention. He built it by going deeper than most people were willing to go, deeper into complexity, deeper into boring problems, deeper into systems that didn't reward ego. And in that depth, he found leverage. But leverage doesn't feel like victory when you're the one carrying it. Pressure stayed. Loneliness stayed. The mind never fully relaxed because the deeper you think, the more you see. You see failure before it happens. You see fragility inside success. You see how quickly the world breaks when the foundations are weak. Most people can't live there. They need certainty. They need applause. They need proof. Patrick lived without proof for years. He built anyway. And that is why Stripe wasn't just a company. It became a layer of the internet. Not celebrated like a social platform, not worshipped like a product, just relied on quietly, globally, constantly. The world didn't notice his depth. It benefited from it. Some people don't win by being louder. They win by thinking deeper, staying longer, and building what everyone else avoids.